Want to welcome everybody to join us that's joining us today for a new episode of Columbus Black on Blast, where we highlight movers, shakers, and creators right here in the capital city doing amazing things. I'm excited because I have a special guest on who's not been on the show just one time, but this is her second time with us, by the name of Dawn Dickson. Many of you know her, have heard of her, and those that have not, this is an episode that you don't want to miss. But before we get started, make sure you check out all of our episodes on ColumbusBlack.com. Once again, that's where you can see all of the amazing people we've highlighted over the last couple of years. And then just remember that you can also, for things to do, places to go, and food to eat, you can check out the Mile app. We've updated it with a virtual and online category. So now you can find virtual events all around the world. And if you're hosting an event similar to this one, you can also post it on the Mile app on iOS and Android. Now, without further ado, though, the reason why we're here is to talk about this young lady who is doing some great things, not just here in Columbus, Ohio, but abroad, internationally. And I'm excited to have you back on the show today, Dawn. How are you doing?
Oh my gosh. Thank you for having me. A little under the weather, but, very happy that I'm corona-free and safe.
Right. Okay. We're happy that you are, too, because we're in the midst of some challenging times right now.
Yeah, but we're going to get through it for sure. And it's an important time to start looking to the future, use this time that we're sheltered inside to really think about our goals and what we want for the future and about the new world that we're going to cut out into, because there's going to be a lot of changes in the world. So I'm actually excited about when outside opens back up.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some good things to look forward to, aren't there? Yeah. So
and I'm going to sip on this tea. Just want to tell everyone I'm a little sick. I'm going to sip on this tea.
Yep.
I'm really here and I'm excited to be here, and we'll just get into it.
Here we go. So while she sips on tea, I'm going to be sipping on this water as well, right? We're going to keep our throats clear as possible for you all today. But so Dawn, here's the deal. We've known each other for a long time, years upon years upon years, but there's still a lot of people who they don't know who you are, right? And I want to make sure that I don't go too far ahead. I want them to still hear your story, because I believe it's an amazing story. It's an inspiring story that so many people really need to hear. So would you do us a favor? Tell us a little bit about yourself first, and then let's talk about like how you got into what you're doing, and let's go through the progression. And obviously I'll have some questions toward the end of the hour. So normally we do this for about 30 minutes, everybody. Today, because we have Dawn on and she has such a rich story, we're going to have an extended show today. But I want to make sure you guys get to hear from the beginning. So Dawn, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Well, I'm going to give the condensed version because I have a 20-year career at this point, which is crazy how fast 20 years goes by. I think I've probably known you about 18 years.
Yeah, just about.
Yeah, how long has Columbus Black been? When did you start that? What's on your shirt?
We're at 15 years. Yep, 05. Okay. So we're 15 years in.
So I know you at least then. So at least 15, maybe 16 years when I first met you. So that is crazy. But
time does fly.
I'm a serial entrepreneur. I definitely at this point consider myself to be a problem solver, because I don't really work in one field. Everything always is tech enabled. So I would say I'm in tech, but certainly solving problems that I identify.
Yeah.
Starting with my first company, the Urban Star, which was a website where you can find out what's going on in the city in Columbus. This was 2001.
That's 19 years ago.
Long time ago. So we built that to 100,000 hits a month. We had about 10,000 people on our email list and a lot of great partnerships. But really just came from a need of, back then, only way to find out what was going on was from getting a flyer in your hand. And so the internet was a new thing people were using. Of course, there was no smartphones, there was no social media, but people were starting to just get online. And, I was young, 21 years old, and I'm like, I would love to go online and just see things, because I would miss out on events not getting the flyer.
Right.
Remember, there wasn't text, there wasn't none of it.
It's crazy, right? Like,
yeah, so it's like you had to get a flyer or get the this week, and everybody wasn't in the this week. So that was solving a problem, and it really grew. And I found myself being in the forefront of digital marketing in general. What I was able to do with my partner, Brandon, build that community online and really use online and offline marketing together was new. There wasn't any email management clients at the time. So I was a very early adopter of of what now is called email marketing. It wasn't even called that.
That's right.
And so I just got in very early, you know, just happening to be there at the right place, right time.
Yeah.
Then after that, there was a lot of demand for businesses, small businesses, nonprofits. Just people wanted to have a online presence and understand how to merge online and offline marketing. And so I started consulting. D1 Consulting Group really was business development and marketing consulting. And I did that for 6 years. It really helped companies do what I was able to do with Urban Star, just get an online presence and build a community and build up their, you know, at the time still wasn't social media. Facebook was just about to start. There was MySpace, but it wasn't, you know, really built for like events and things. So helping people to figure out how to start really crafting emails. Then from there, over 6 years, I worked with a lot of companies, a lot of products, events. I moved to Atlanta to work with athletes and entertainers and their events, and worked with a lot of nightclubs in Atlanta. And that led me to solving my next problem, which was, you know, when I saw women outside the club or inside the club, walking barefoot, the feet hurt in heels, walking down the sidewalk, trying to get to the car after partying all night, you know.
Feet burning, huh?
Feet burning. And I definitely can relate from spending so many nights in heels. I never did a consumer product before, but I work with a lot of consumer products from marketing for other people as a consultant. Yeah. So I knew if you can market if you're good at marketing, you can market anything. And so I said, you know, let me try my hand at a consumer product. It's something I think will really work. And so my idea was to put shoes, rollable ballet flats, and vending machines in nightclubs for women when their feet hurt at the club. And they can buy some shoes in a vending machine so they don't have to walk barefoot to the car. Yeah. And, you know, that just set me on a whole nother career trajectory altogether. Right. I focused on flat out just getting the brand out there. Had a lot of celebrity influencers in the very early days of influencers. So I have had so many celebrities post my shoes, from Lala to Candy to Lauren Ridinger to Eva Longoria, to just so many celebrities that supported my brand before they were getting paid to post. Back in these days, early days of Instagram, all you had to do was send a product, they would post it. They did not know they could monetize that yet. So I'm glad I got ahead of that.
Interesting.
Because I never paid for a post in my life. Yeah. So cool. Yeah, it was cool, but it you know, it was very early days of like, you know, user adoption on Instagram. Yeah. So I did that, and then all the while I'm selling them online and I'm selling them in stores. And I really was trying to figure out how to get these vending machines going, but it was a lot easier said than done. So after kept hitting a wall, trying to get companies to build a vending machine for me, I decided to start building my own machines, solve my own problem. Yeah. And I started the company now that's PopCom in 2012. So a lot of people think PopCom is new. It's not, you know, 2012 when I started this business, October 2012. And
so this is an 8-year overnight success, huh?
Yes. And it's not even, I mean, for me, we've done some things successfully, but I don't consider it to be a success yet overall. Okay. We've done some things successfully, and that's, you know, counting those wins you get. Every win does matter. But the overall goal still has not been accomplished, which is getting the flat out of heels machines everywhere and then helping other brands to expand their footprint through vending. So it just took many years to develop the hardware and software. Yeah. You know, that's where we are today. It's finally there.
So do me a favor, before we go there, I want to go back for a second, because I think what happens is you told that story and you did it in a concise fashion. So we appreciate that. But what happens, I think, too, is that, you know, sometimes people can miss everything that you said at the same time. They heard it, but they didn't hear it. So some things that I picked up, right? So if you guys paid attention to it, she mentioned problem solver at the beginning. Clearly, each one of these, you identified a problem and a solution to it, which allowed you to have some success and just keep learning. It's interesting to me, though, like the progression of your learnings, how it was like one thing led to another, led to another, led to another. Yeah. Which is really, really cool. So it's not like you came up with what you have today, you know, 18 years ago, you know, so that's really cool. So some serious gem drops in there for everybody to pay attention to. So appreciate you for breaking it down that way. So So Dawn, when you think about it, right? So this problem solver, where does that come from, right? Like, from my experiences, when I dealt with people, especially from a leadership perspective, their habits and their behaviors, a lot of it comes from their background and how they were nurtured. So give us some of the underlying components to who Dawn is that helps you be who you are today.
I definitely think it's in me. I mean, I grew up seeing entrepreneurs, seeing people making money, getting money on their own, whether it was legal or illegal. I just see people being very innovative and finding ways to generate revenue.
Yeah.
And so I knew that it wasn't like, if I had an idea, I knew that it wasn't far-fetched to make it happen. A lot of people have ideas, will always have good ideas all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they may not have the confidence to think they can do it. But I already knew from watching my parents, who were both entrepreneurs, do things. I knew that it could be done. I knew that it took hard work, but I knew that it could be done. And so, when I had these ideas, I'm like, I know I can do it,
Mm-hmm.
and I did work a corporate job, and I knew that wasn't for me. I only worked a corporate job for 8 months. I just knew it wasn't for me. So it's like, I had to, find my way. But I do think that people like us, I think we're born with these traits.
Yeah.
I don't think you can, it's a certain kind of grit. You can take an entrepreneurship class, you can learn skills, but it's that risk, being very risk adverse and not being scared.
Right.
And not quitting. It's very easy. I always say I never failed in a business, not because I didn't have failures.
Mm-hmm.
It's because I never quit.
Say it.
And it's very easy to quit. Like I've had many rock bottom moments.
Yeah.
Many, up and even to my last rock bottom moment was 2018, December.
Yeah.
So not even too long ago. And I just always feel like, well, when you're at the bottom, only thing you can do is go up from here. Nice. Instead of feeling like, oh, I'm at the bottom. Oh my God, I'm at the bottom. I'm like, well, shit.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing else to do now.
Go up. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's something that I feel like is ingrained in people, being very risk adverse and being, willing to take chances.
Okay. Thank you for breaking that down as well. And I would agree, I know you've heard it from a lot of people who say, I could never do what you do, right? Like, because certain people know, like, I have to have that paycheck coming in every 2 weeks, or the work ethic, the time, the commitment to it, dealing with the adversity. Yeah, it takes a special person. So kudos on that.
For sure.
Yeah. So bring us up to speed a little bit then, right? So what are you working on now? And help us understand a little bit more about PopCom, because you talked a little bit about Flat Out, right? And then that transitioned into the whole vending piece. But walk us through, like, from the beginning of PopCom, because things have evolved so much and you've learned so much. But help us understand that.
So what started out is really just me trying to make basic vending machines to sell flat outs, which I did. I made vending machines 2012 and 13 and put them in Club Live in Miami, Atlanta Airport, MGM Grand Casino in Vegas, Bayside Marketplace, test out different places to put the shoes. Again, just testing out to see what worked. I never thought it was going to be a full-blown business. It just really was like creating machines for myself. And the reason I even split the companies off is because my investors in Flat Out were like, you're spending a lot of money on hardware. That's not really what we think you should do. That's not really. So I said, okay, well, I'll start another business to focus on just building the machines. Okay. And so I got one investor for that, and just to figure, so I don't have to cut into the profits from Flat Out to build these machines, because it is very expensive. Okay. And so once I got these machines out in the field, two things happened. It went viral. Got a lot of media attention, a lot of press, and I was on a couple shows, MSNBC, Yahoo, Marcus Lemonis, and just a lot of press. Ebony, Essence, just because it was a novel idea. It was a Black woman doing something novel, Right. And what happened from that press was then it triggered many people contacting me asking, can they either buy a Flat Out of Hills machine, or can I sell them a machine to sell their own product? And my business wasn't set up for that. Like, I literally was just figuring out how to sell flat outs. Right. I did not have a business set up to sell vending machines to people.
That's interesting, the learnings from that. Yeah, go ahead.
I did not know what I was doing. So I'm like, okay, here's an opportunity that I can make some money. Yeah. But I got to figure this out, because I can't just give people some vending machines. They have to have a whole system in place. So I started to realize that, like, look at how I can make them better. Like, what me as a retailer selling flat outs, what would make the vending machines ideal for me?
Okay.
And I really was like, if I could figure out a way to understand my traffic, because everybody that has a website will know how important things like Google Analytics is for your business, and tools like ad roll, or things you can remarket, retarget if you have an e-commerce business, understanding your traffic, how many people come to your site, how long they spend on your site, if they ultimately convert, how your ad campaigns are working. All these things are important tools in driving your e-commerce revenue, which I did a really good job at on my website. But what happened was, like, when I put the machines out, I just had no metrics. The only metric that I had was daily sales. But if you don't know your potential sales, you don't really know if your daily sales are good.
Yep.
You're assuming, oh, I sold $100 in shoes today. That's good. But if 1,000 people walk by and you only sold 5 pairs of shoes, you're not converting well.
Yep.
And so I said, well, before I start to sell these machines to people, and then they have the same problems that I'm having, I need to figure out how to give them as much information as possible to make this investment in an expensive piece of hardware worth it.
Okay.
And so I spent 2 years studying and researching the vending industry, going to all the shows, reading all the papers they publish, trying to figure out what tools that vending machine operators use to understand their metrics. And I realized that there didn't exist any tools to understand metrics. The vending machine industry at this point, less than 5% took credit cards, let alone enabled with some, high level metrics. So it was just like it was the last part of retail to even innovate in any way.
Wow.
So yeah, and I was definitely a part of that wave of innovation in vending, and have continued to be. But I said, well, we need some software.
Right.
Well, we all know we have all these phones, and we've been a part, you and I for sure. I remember I had a pager. Like, when I was in high school, you did not have a phone. Nobody had a cell phone. People had a briefcase cell phone or a phone in their car that was very wealthy, and nobody that I knew had one. So
that's right. That's taking it back.
A big briefcase phone.
Yep.
So we've seen the evolution of these phones, and that's really hardware with software that makes it more powerful. Mm-hmm. So I understood from being in tech for years the power of software. Right. And I said, well, if we can build some software to upgrade these machines and make them smarter, it would make a lot more sense for companies to sell their products, because they would have a better understanding of, the sales, what's happening.
So important.
And I had to think, and I was like, well, on websites, we use an IP address to understand consumer behavior.
Right.
What's the equivalent? Because if you guys don't know, IP address is the unique number that identifies your device. So your computer has its own address, your phone has its own address, and that's how they know, like, your behavior. They don't know your name, but they know how you are browsing based on your IP address, unless you use a firewall or something like that to block it. But in general, people just, your IP addresses, they track it.
Right.
So,
by the way, yo, she's dropping gems all over the place, right? Just like little big ones. Go ahead.
So I said, what's the equivalent to an IP address? And I'm like, well, the human body, the human person, because, they're walking by. So I said, I need to figure out how to count how many people that walk by versus how many people that walk up versus how many people that actually purchase, which is equivalent to a conversion rate.
Genius.
The only way to do that was to install cameras. So at the time, my friend Brian Burkeen was really making progress with this company, Kairos.
Yeah. Shout out to Brian.
Shout out to Brian. And I seen Kairos at a conference counting people that walk by the booth and analyzing their face to determine their age and their gender. And I was like, Brian, can I put this on a vending machine? And he was like, why not? Wow. That was in 2016.
Okay.
And that's when I really changed my course and said, okay, I'm about to build software to integrate face detection into vending machines to understand traffic. Yeah. I do things like this. I make a decision on what I'm gonna do, and I just never know how much work's involved. But then I get so focused that I won't quit. But I mean, it's really hard to build an operating system from scratch, and that's essentially what we've done, just to be able to, allow vending machines to understand traffic patterns, conversion rates, demographic profile, age, gender, emotion detection, all these things now, it actually exists and it works. But it took
That's
years.
amazing. I can't let you just say that and let's just let it be. Like, that's amazing innovation that took a lot of persistence, perseverance, and determination, right? Like, to get this done.
Yeah.
Amazing stuff. Congratulations, Dawn.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. We tried several different partners with the face detection. We work with Amazon, we work with Samsung, we work with Kairos. We work with many companies, and we had to keep starting all over again because the thing about it is these algorithms are so new.
Yeah.
They haven't been used a lot. So we hear about algorithm bias for people of color, and the only way to really improve the algorithm bias is for us to use it.
Yeah.
So that the machines can get smarter.
Yeah.
And of course, we know the testing for these things are generally on white men or white people, and that's why it detects them easier because they're the ones building it and they're the ones testing it.
Okay.
And so it just took some time to find an algorithm that is more accurate. And actually what we use now, company we partner with, is more accurate than Amazon and Samsung. And they're a smaller business.
Wow. Nice. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, there's some key learnings in that. Can you do me a favor, right? Because you've been in this tech space and you understand this really well. When we talk about this type of technology and we talk about this bias piece, right? Especially being on ColumbusBlack.com, help us understand that a little bit more, because I don't think the general public understands how we're using technology, especially like facial recognition or artificial intelligence, and how their biases. And when we talk about algorithm, like, what does that mean? Like, that's a big word to a lot of people, right? So how do you simplify that so we understand in what we do today, how there's biases tied to the technology?
So to make it really simple, so algorithm is like a program, like a call to action. Mm-hmm. And so in the case of facial detection, we'll say, deliver this advertisement so we'll tell the computer, deliver this advertisement to men around this age, we'll say African American, because some of them claim to be able to detect ethnicity, but it's virtually impossible. Nobody can do it. They say they can't, it's virtually impossible. They'll say I'm Hispanic half the time. They just can't figure it out. Okay. But that's the point, is because we'll say, deliver this message to women or, men who are African American around this age. If it hasn't been the computer program, so the computer learns, called machine learning. Mm-hmm. You keep programming information into it, and then eventually it learns patterns. It'll figure out like, okay, this is what a Black person looks like. After you've put a white person, Black person, Asian person, white, and then just keep learning, feeding, and then it figures it out. Same thing with us humans, like computers learn like people. And so, but if you have not given it an equal amount of cases to look at, it's going to be biased. It's not going to know how to detect. So it will misread. So it will call me Hispanic because it hasn't seen enough Black people, knowing that we are so diverse. Yeah. Now, the human eye, most of the time as a person, we can look at somebody and be like, they're Black. Mm-hmm. Even if they're really light skinned, like we just can tell because we've seen the diversity that are in African Americans, Africans, Brazilians, all the different types of people of color. We know this from being humans and learning. Yeah. The machines don't know enough. Got it. And it's dangerous because, especially when people like law enforcement want to use it, it does not have enough information to properly identify people of color because it hasn't been tested and used by people of color. Right. And so that's why we don't use facial recognition. We use detection, and we don't recognize individuals. We just 92% accuracy, say male, female, age, or gender. We don't even go into race or ethnicity because we are not there yet. Right. The machines are not that smart yet. It's going to take, what I think it'll take is like mass use of all of us basically scanning our face into a system and saying what I identify as, and then it will figure it out based on, okay, this is what, this is what a Black person looks like. Oh my God, a Black person looks like a million different things. You know, literally different characteristics, hair. You can't judge it by hair. You can't judge it by. So that's why the biases are there, because it just doesn't have enough information. It's like a person who grows up in a, let's say, all Black neighborhood, never been around white people. When they get around white people, they don't know how to engage with them.
Yeah.
Same way a person that's white and all white people their whole life, they get around Black people and they have these judgments about us based on what they maybe have seen, the one Black person they've seen on TV.
Right.
Same thing as the computers. They really are that way. And so we have a long way to go before we can have that information accurate.
Outstanding. Thank you for simplifying that and making it relevant for everybody to understand that. All right. I appreciate it. So let's talk about how you get here, right? Like, you've had to do a lot, and you mentioned investors earlier, right? But what does it take, and how did you get to this point? I mean, it didn't just happen, right? It's not like money fell out the sky for you. So walk us through that, because this is a big part for people who are going to watch this or who may join us today. It's how did you get the investment capital? How are you building your business? All that good stuff. So walk us through some of that, because that's been a learning in itself.
I'll just speak for PopCom, because I've raised money for all my companies. All of my companies started out with friends and family investing.
Okay.
Which was a blessing. You know, even with PopCom, my first investor was a friend, a former client that I used to work with in D1 Consulting. And they, you know, believed in it and said, okay, I do believe vending machines with shoes would be a good idea. I'm going to invest. And so, you know, from there, I spent years just validating the business model and making sure that it could be a scalable business, because taking investor money is a serious thing. They want it back. You know, it's not like a gift, it's not a donation. They want it back with multiples. You know, and depending on the kind of investor you have, the multiples vary. From an angel investor may want their money back times 10, and a VC wants their money back times 100.
Right.
And so you have to understand how you're going to return that money. And that's why you only take money based on what you can return. So like if you get money from a bank, they want their money back with maybe a 5, 6, 10% interest.
Right.
So you have to understand what money is the right money to take at the time. And that's something that I really have figured out over time of when to take what kind of money, because when can I pay it back and how can I pay it back?
Okay.
And so after I raised the first money from an angel investor, from a friend, then I didn't raise money for 4 years.
Okay.
And I just was figuring it out, you know.
Right.
And then I was ready to really make it a scalable business, but I needed help.
Yeah.
I've never grown a software business. It was a huge learning curve for me. And so I started just going to accelerators, incubators. I went to like the Rev 1 Concept Academy. I got advanced to the next, you know, round of that. So they basically were like, this is a good idea. You know, this is something that we can get behind.
Right.
And then I went to an accelerator program in Colorado. What they do is give you money to keep building your idea. So just getting help that I needed to like build an MVP, which is a minimum viable product, which is like the minimum you can build to show that what your idea is, that it will work. Okay. Not the ideal shiny finished product. Right. Yeah. Something minimum, just to say, this is the basic thing that I want to build. If I have more money, I could really grow this.
Yeah.
And so that's how I got my next money, was from Accelerator. I got money from Techstars.
Okay.
Kennedy Boulder. And then when I went through Techstars, which is like equivalent to like a Harvard for college, Techstars and Y Combinator and a few others are like the Ivy League of technology accelerators.
Right.
Once I got that kind of stamp of approval from just being in this elite group of founders who got picked for this program, I was able to raise money pretty easily off the back of just, all right, we went through this program.
The credibility was there, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's how I raised like the first $1 million for PopCom. Wow. Was from, you know, going through the accelerator and then going through demo day and building my MVP and demonstrating it.
Nice. Very nice. Very nice. So in the midst of that, right? So while you generated some capital from that, what were your biggest learnings from going through the accelerators between Colorado, Techstars, and
I mean, I spent a lot of time on customer discovery. Understanding who was going to pay for this, what would they pay, what the need was, what I should build, understanding what I needed to build exactly, the business model, how it's going to make money, how it's going to scale. At first, I thought it was going to be by selling vending machines and being a vending machine manufacturer, but eventually I realized it's not that. It's going to be from selling software and partnering with manufacturers to just sell my software. So my business model is very similar to like Windows.
Okay.
Microsoft Windows, where, you know, Windows is in Microsoft laptops and computers and tablets and all these things, but it's also in everybody else's laptops but Apple. I mean, you cannot even buy Windows for Mac. So Windows is the operating system, but it integrates with a lot of different hardware. And so, you know, the Microsoft had to build their own hardware to demonstrate the power of Windows, but now other hardware manufacturers who make devices, they want Windows. And so that's what I said, okay, we just need to build one really good piece of hardware to demonstrate the power of our software, and then be the go-to operating system for vending machines and self-service kiosks moving forward, which we're making great progress in that area. So I really just learned like how to scale a business, what's going to make money, what's going to be most profitable, and who's going to buy it. That's what I spend a lot of time doing.
Okay. So that's outstanding, right? So this is the software piece that you were talking about earlier, right? So with PopCom. So thank you for breaking that down, and we understand the difference between the software and how you're using the hardware. So bring us up to speed. So where are you at this point, and what do next steps and milestones look like for you at this point?
Yeah. So after I did the first round, we raised money on the first million. Was, you know, we were building our first, we had customers, Procter & Gamble as a customer. We had like 30 customers already signed up and paid. And then we hired this manufacturer to build our product, and then they stole it.
Oh, wow.
They stole it.
So we hear about this, right? So between stealing ideas, stealing product, like, and it sounds like you dealt with this directly. Like, help us out here. Like, how do people avoid this? And I'm sorry to hear that you even dealt with it.
You know, you can't avoid bad actors. I mean, my paperwork was right. I did everything right. They just were not good people. Okay. And so even though they didn't steal it, they couldn't steal my intellectual property because it belongs to me legally. They stole the actual hardware, and they would not give it to me so I couldn't reproduce it. They stole my files. And, you know, litigation, going to court is very expensive. In some states, it's virtually impossible to get a court date. So at the time I was living in California, and California is just a very difficult place to litigate. Right. And very expensive. So as a small startup, pre-revenue, they're like, yeah, we can take this to court, but it's going to cost, you know, $20,000 retainer, and we'll be fighting this for over a year. And I'm like, well, I have customers right now. Like, I can't, why would I spend $20,000 when I can spend that money to build it all over again? Right. And so at this point, that really set my business back really far. That was 2018. And so we had to raise money again. So when I went and told my investors, like, you guys already gave me $1 million to build this. I did build it, but they stole it, and I need to build it again. All over again, from scratch. It's like the CAD files for hardware is like the blueprint for a house. Yeah. So if you have a blueprint, you can take it to any architect and they can build that house from a blueprint. Yeah. They stole my blueprint and they stole my hardware. So I didn't have anything to start. I didn't have anything to move forward. I had to start all over again. My investors were like, listen, no, we're not giving you any more money. We're done with you. Like, you had one shot. You got us, the product got stolen. We're sorry to hear that, but we're gonna cut our losses. So my last chance was to go to the people that believe in me, which are like so many amazing people in Columbus and Atlanta and Miami, LA, places where I lived at that believe in me. Yeah. That's why I had to do a crowdfunding campaign, because the investors would not support me moving forward. Yeah. And I had customers, and I had, you know, I did all the work to go to market, but it was a very unfortunate thing. So we decided to crowdfund. That was our last, we would have died. Like, it was like crowdfund or die.
So this was the point where you said earlier you had a major setback, or you were at the bottom. So this was at that point?
I was 2018 at the bottom. Wow. No money left. Product stolen. Okay. But only what I did have was a great team, and I had customers. Yep. A lot of businesses don't have customers. Right. I had customers. Okay. I just didn't have a product. So I started all over again. And so we decided to crowdfund, and it took 6 months to just get the crowdfunding campaign going. But crowdfunding essentially is opening up your company to the public to be able to take investments from investors that are accredited and non-accredited. So, accredited means that you may, go ahead.
So do me a favor real quick. So help, because I know a lot of people have heard about like Kickstarter, Indiegogo, but this is equity crowdfunding, which is different, right?
Equity crowdfunding. So Kickstarter and Indiegogo are funding a project or a product to get built, and you prepay and you get a product and you walk away with that product because you say, I want this product and I'm paying in advance. Equity crowdfunding is actually investing and getting shares. So it's like similar to going on NASDAQ or New York Stock Exchange to invest in a stock, but it's a privately held stock. It's private equity. Yeah. And so it's usually early stage companies. It's not an IPO, not a public offering. It's a private equity offering. And it's a fairly new instrument. You know, it's under the Jobs Act. President Obama signed this legislation in 2012. It took years to go into effect, and it's fairly new. But I felt like that was my last effort, and I really wanted to. And you know, it wasn't like, I mean, I really could have went back to VCs in San Francisco or New York who would have got it and really asked them to help, and they would have done. Because I had a few investors say they would invest, but I had to give up a lot of equity. Wow. I had to give up like half the company just to get it back going. And I just didn't want to do that. And I really wanted to be able to open up my company to people who really believed in me and supported me so that they can benefit as we grow, and as we win, they win, and create wealth in the community when I create wealth for myself and my team. Awesome. And so we did open that roundup in December 2018. It went live right before Christmas. Okay. And then it lasted 4 months, not 100 days. And at the end of that, we raised 1.7 million, which is the legal maximum that you can raise under this legislation. And I was the first female founder to do that. Not even Black female. I was the first female founder to do that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Congrats on that one. That was a Herculean effort and a major accomplishment for not just you, but for a lot of people to see you accomplish that. So I think, you know, we were cheering for you and really proud of you. And that was a big one. So then,
everybody really supported, but then it allowed us to rebuild the product, find a better manufacturer, rebuild the product, get more customers, build 3 other products. So we had $1 million. Well, we didn't get a whole million, we got like 920,000 because they take fees. Yeah. But we got to take that money and rebuild the product and you know, really focus on building the software, building the hardware. We built out, you know, our last campaign was heavily focused on like building machines for cannabis and alcohol. We did that. We built our system for that. We have a customer for that, paying customer, alcohol company. It's exciting. We have a cannabis dispensary in the Netherlands that is going to launch our kiosk there. So beautiful thing about it is that, you know, last year people invested in my company at an $8 million valuation for 16 cents a share. And now I'm raising money again, this in the same way, because now I love the community support. And now I'm raising money at 25 million valuation. Okay. And the shares are 55 cents. Everybody who invested last year, their shares went from 16 cents to 55 cents in value. So that's
not too shabby. Yeah, that's not too shabby.
Not bad. And it's only going up.
That's right.
You know, we're going to make it out of COVID. The interesting thing about this time, COVID is really outstanding for automated retail, self-service retail industry, because social distancing and not interacting with humans I mean, how can you buy something without interacting with humans, either online or from a vending machine or kiosk?
Yeah.
And so the demand for my business, we have 4 new customers in the past 2 weeks.
Wow.
I mean, I have calls with big brands on a daily basis because everybody's looking forward to their 6-month plan for when the world opens back up. How are they going to adjust to the way people are now being conditioned to not touch people, not be around people, not be close to each other? How are they going to still shop?
Right.
And, it's, I couldn't have asked to be in a better business.
Yeah, timing.
I couldn't have asked to be in a better business. And I'm the only Black woman I ever seen at anything related to vending. I've never seen any Black woman at any events, conferences. No. And I'm like literally a thought leader in the space. And our company's like a go-to company for this.
Yeah.
And we got some big contracts in the past couple of weeks. So I'm
hey,
really
that's super exciting, right? So congratulations on all of that. And now that's pretty exceptional to hear. But the thing is, I look at it in a couple of ways. Like, you've worked so hard to get there, but then there's also this destined piece, right? It's like you were destined to be where you are right now. Like, and it's interesting because we don't always know, like when you're going through the process, you don't know you're gonna be here.
Oh my God, are you trying to kill me, God? Like, what is happening?
Right. Wow. But he had a plan for you the whole time.
Definitely had a plan. I mean, who knew like a pandemic was gonna hit?
Right.
And my industry is one of the essential industries.
That is good stuff. That's good stuff. All right. So that's cool. So talk about what next steps look like for you, right? So you got these clients that are pinging you at this point. You're raising capital. How much are you trying to raise now, right? And fill us in on that. Like, how do people get involved so they don't miss out on this next 300% gain as you go from 25 million to 75 million?
Amazing, right? And we will. I feel real good. We will do that. We will do that.
Yeah.
We're raising the money now. Right now, it's a small round. It's called a bridge.
Okay.
Because you only can raise $1,070,000 in a 12-month calendar year. So we raise money. We were raising money this time last year. So we've already kind of maxed our amount. We can't raise another full million. So the most we can raise right now is $760,000. So we're raising that.
Yeah.
We launched it 2 weeks ago, and we're at 200 as of this morning. It was like at 255,000, or getting up there.
Yeah.
So we have 14. I'm looking on this 254,000. 14 days left. Yeah. Minimum investment is $250.
Okay.
So definitely want to reach that max for sure.
Yeah. So what do people do? How do we invest? Where do we need to go? Right. You already said 250 is the minimum.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So how do people get involved?
Go to startengine.com /PopCom.
Okay.
And you can get it from our website too, popcom.shop.
Okay.
And click on the invest link. And you can just invest with credit card, with ACH.
Yeah.
And it's that easy. Minimum 250. I figure, and somebody asked me yesterday, like, what, you must be very bold to raise money at this time. But I'm like, hey, people are not buying gas. They're not going out to eat. Right. They're not, going out for drinks.
Right.
They're not. So like, they have a lot more disposable income. So even though a lot of people are definitely financially challenged and the unemployment rate is just insane.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of people that do have disposable income, and they want something to do with it, and they pulled it out of the traditional market.
Exactly.
And they want something to do with it. And so they're like, well, I would normally spend $250 on a Friday night going out to hang out. Yeah. I'll put $250 into something that
that may turn
work for me.
Yeah.
And I think that's the logic. People really believe in me and PopCom, but at the same time, they just have some money just to let work for them at this time.
Yeah, I would agree. I think obviously, like you said, a lot of people are either struggling or challenged right now, but there are a lot of people who are in really good shape as well. And then those who sort of decline with the market are looking to diversify in a different way now as well to make those returns back, right? As the market comes back. So I think it's a great opportunity for people to diversify. So good stuff.
It definitely is. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this ends. And then, we'll raise again. A startup, Startups that really grow. Let me give you an example. The average startup raises $41 million that is, successful. We're not raising that much because we have a lot of customers, but we will raise another 5 million and then we'll stop.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So do me a favor. I want you to help me out, and I want you to help out those other startup founders that are out there that have looked at traditional investing, that now hear you talk about this equity crowdfunding component, but you have done some unique things as well. And in regards to ownership of your business, right? When you think about the equity, and when you go to traditional route, you tend to give up quite a bit, which was presented to you previously. Can you give us some perspective on your strategy or thought process of how to still protect your ownership stake in the company while still raising money and allowing people to still come in and help support the growth and benefit from it as well?
Yeah, definitely. So, you have to be very clear on what your company's value, your valuation, and what you're willing to give up and what those investors bring to the table. So I did give up in the early days. The companies, accelerator programs like Techstars and things, they take about maybe 6% equity. That's a lot, but they really helped me move my company forward and connect with investors. So I knew that I never wanted to go together with my team and I under 50% ownership.
Okay.
And I'm not going to do that. And we haven't. I know a lot of founders that raise a lot of money and they're less than 10%. They don't have any control. They don't have any they don't control the board. They don't control the voting. They're just like the CEO. They're a worker.
Right.
And our company is team owned and operated, which means a lot.
Yeah.
So it's just every company has different needs, right? And you have to really understand what your needs are, capital needs as a company. If you can take your company where you want to take it by yourself or your team, or if you need a significant infusion of capital and then guidance from these investors. So there's no cookie cutter way to do it. But for us, we know what we're doing. We just needed the capital. So the great thing about the crowdfunding is that I didn't have to give up a lot. And there was not a lot of dilution, meaning like the value, the shares that we have goes down. It wasn't a lot of dilution with these things, while at the same time, the investors that come in, they really get the upside of things. So it's important to really read and understand. I read a book called Venture Deals, which is really helpful. Actually, it's sitting right here on the table. But this is a really great book to read.
Awesome.
To understand about raising capital, and it's by Brad Feld and Jason Mendelson.
Okay.
And it's very beefy, but it helps you on the legal side of raising money so you can make a really educated evaluation on what you need. I'm a big fan of business loans, credit cards, accelerators. I won $300,000 in pitch competitions. So I'm a big fan of pitch competitions. Anything you have to do to get a product to the point where you have customers that are willing to buy it, because the more leverage you have, the better you can negotiate what they get.
Yeah, good stuff. Leverage is important. Okay, very good. So let me ask you this as we get ready to wrap up. How do we help you, right? Based off of where you are now, and you got these clients, you got the funding campaign, we know we can invest. But how do we also help you continue to be successful and achieve your next milestone?
Invest for sure.
Okay.
And just continue to share what we're doing. You always share. You always comment on my posts, and those things mean a lot because it gets more eyes on what I'm doing. So just share. And we work with retailers. That's our customer base. So if someone is a small, medium-sized retailer or larger retailer looking to get into vending, send them our way. We definitely can help them, work with them. We have financing available as well. To companies that want to get into vending, but all the likes help, all the comments help. They really do, because especially on LinkedIn, when you comment on my post on LinkedIn, it then says Kevin Lloyd commented on this, and then somebody sees it. So all these things really do matter. My stuff goes viral a lot because of just every single like and comment matters. Yeah.
So that keeps it really simple, right? So for everybody listening to this, it's not that hard. I find it interesting that people will share and comment on a lot of nonsense.
Yeah, for
Don't
sure.
do that for important things, right? Like that could impact them or somebody else, even somebody you love or support. So just the basic fundamental things like that are appreciated. So once again, going back to it, we can invest, we can share, we can like, and then, you know, for me, Dawn, I think what's important too, and people who, I know you have a great fan base, but I also think when you believe in somebody, just support them, right? Like,
Yeah.
I believe in you. Like, I truly believe that you're going to be that you'll continue to be extremely successful. I think you have a great business model. I think it's innovative and creative. And
Thank
it's
you.
like, why not support you? In addition to that, the diligence, the time, effort, and the energy, the work ethic. I mean, I've worked in corporate America for 20 plus years before becoming a full-time entrepreneur. And your work ethic is stronger than 90% of the people I work with. Right. So when you see that, it's like, why would you not support somebody who's doing that much to be successful? It's just that simple. Right. So not to mention, you're blowing it up right now. Timing is everything. And I think, like you said,
Working out really
yeah,
well.
some great stuff. So, well, really cool. So let me ask you this before we wrap up. Is there anything else that you wanted to share with our audience that we may not have covered today?
I mean, I think that's basically it. And I always just will say, it's, wealth is created by investing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, if you don't want to invest in PopCom, that's okay. Of course, it's your money, but invest in something,
Yeah.
because that is how you make your money work for you. Investments are a risk, but people that take risks are the ones that actually do get the reward at the end of the day. So while you have some time and while the stock market is down, start looking at like things you believe in and look at the 52-week high and the low and see where the potential is, or look at industries where you could invest, or just, invest in yourself, take a class, start a business. Just use this time where we are, quarantined in, to really make the most for your future, because we will get through this. We'll get out of this. And you don't want to come out unprepared, because believe me, when they open up outside, it's going to be so much opportunity. And the people that are prepared for the demand that's coming, they're going to be the winners at the end of this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, good stuff. It looks like there was a question on here.
I didn't see the questions. Okay.
Yeah. So from Omar Neesmith, he said accelerators and VCs are very concerned about the makeup of startup teams when evaluating an opportunity. How did you go about building your team?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I would say, building a team is the single hardest part of being a founder.
Yeah.
It is the hardest part. And it took time.
Yeah.
And I just really built my team from relationships that I had over some years, referrals of people. But yeah, I went out and found people that were good fit for the culture. I always say hire for culture. Skills can be, you can find people with skills, but if they don't align with the way that you do things, and you don't work together well, and you don't have the same vision for how you want to get to the finish line, it's not going to work. So I created a culture book. I read a book called Delivering Happiness by Tony Hsieh, who's the founder of Zappos.
Yeah.
And it's really around company culture. It's a good book to read as a CEO, because it talks about how to create a culture, and then you just use that and hire from that.
Awesome. Yeah, I would have to say, seeing your team, you have a pretty impressive team, pretty diverse team as well. So
very diverse, yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff. Okay, well, cool. So check this out. We're gonna go ahead and wrap up. So Dawn, I have a question for you. Has ColumbusBlack.com done anything for you?
Of course, as always. Columbus Black has put me on blast.
There we go. We put her on blast. That's what we do, y'all. We highlight movers, shakers, and creators right here in the capital city. Don't forget to make sure that you visit ColumbusBlack.com. Check out all our episodes of amazing people just like Dawn. And one of the things that we always say before we wrap up is, in order to be more successful in your future, you need to understand a little bit more about your past. That's the reason why we just put Dawn, Dickson, and PopCom on blast. So once again, thank you. Congratulations. Keep going. We're excited for you. We'll be right here to keep supporting you. And then once again, when you watch this video, y'all, I need y'all to do one thing for me. Okay? Well, two things. One is take a close look at her campaign, right? And if you're capable, invest. The second thing I need you to do is share this, right? Tag somebody you know that's a startup founder, a business owner, an investor, somebody who just needs some inspiration. and tag them in it. That's all I ask y'all to do. It's just that easy. All right. So now, without further ado, make sure you check out all the episodes, ColumbusBlack.com. Download the Mile app. Check out the online and virtual events today. It's some cool stuff that's going on all around the world. So make sure you do that. And once again, without further ado, we're going to wrap up the way that I always do. I'm out. Have a good one, Dawn.
Thank you.
Later, y'all.